I don't believe the beat was made in Suno.
Correct.
But a lot of producers use Suno this way. And he got in a lot of trouble for using Suno this way. It's a good track. I like it. I listened to it. And now it's gone and it's been taken down. What's going down, music entrepreneurs? You're back on the Music Entrepreneur Club podcast, where we talk it because we live it, and we live it so we give it. This is the testosterone episode. Erinn is unfortunately not feeling well, so she had to skip out. But we appreciate you tuning in. We're going to talk about sports, guns, and rating the hose. So Ryan, you want to start by talking about trad wives and why they're superior to modern women?
I don't think this was the topic I agreed to talk about.
Oh, okay, my bad. My notes are wrong. This isn't the red pill thing. No. How are you feeling today? This is not a misogyny podcast. Just to be clear, that was sarcasm. How's everyone doing?
I'm feeling good. I'm glad to have Ryan back. Ryan has joined us. I don't know how many times, maybe 3 or 4 or 5. I don't know. I probably lost count. But always good to have Ryan in the building. Ryan, how are you feeling today?
I'm good. I'm energized. I'm excited to be talking with you guys. And I'm excited to be talking about the music industry.
Nice. We got some good topics lined up. Before we get into that, we definitely have to share our wins from the past week. Ryan, you're our guest. Feel free to go first.
Yeah, for sure. I recently celebrated the first year of my new solo law firm. I had been with a firm for the last 8 years, and I became a partner of that firm. And then a year ago, I went out on my own and really wanted to focus exclusively on music, because I was also doing some other stuff, being a partner and managing other practice areas. And I just bet on myself and went out on my own and started a solo practice in the guest bedroom. And it's a year later, and it's been the best year that I've ever had. So really, really fortunate. Just happy to still be here.
Is it the best year across the board, like financially and mentally and spiritually, or just
all the above?
All the above. Oh wow, okay.
Above. And I think one of the biggest things was I had a daughter a year and a half ago, and when kind of the straw that broke the camel's back was that I was missing bedtimes, I was missing story times, I was missing all these things, and I was like, damn, I'm gonna miss all that. And so when I finally made that shift, I haven't missed a single bedtime, and it's been really amazing.
There it is. Super done. Let me see if my sound effects work. There it is. Pain. This is not a competition. I don't expect you to top that. But what do you have for this week?
It's been a rough couple weeks, obviously, but with everything leaning towards the holidays, it's like pulling teeth to get invoices paid. And there was a particular artist who it was one of the wildest emails I've ever gotten about why they weren't going to pay for an agreed upon deposit for a custom exclusive beat. I was like, okay, I have to ignore this email because maybe I'll post it when it was one of the craziest emails. And I'm like, damn, I don't know why people want to play with creative so much. And then I came to the realization that I could just ignore it and focus on the people that, were loyal customers and professionals. And it was just very personal and internal, but I was like, I don't even have to worry about this person over here, because they were never really even a collaborator or a customer. It was just some random weirdo. So I focused more on the people that I worked with regularly and had a good week.
Good stuff. Let's see. Before I say my win, I want people to know that you might be able to find your next win. We started a new Instagram page called @FoundForArtists. All it does is post like opportunities or it doesn't sell anything. I believe 100% of the opportunities should be like, you don't have to pay for them. It's just, different opportunities to perform, funding opportunities for music reviews, things like that. So go to @FoundForArtists and just follow the page. Hopefully you guys find your next win there. My win, and this is going to flow into my topic because, a lot of people hear me say build on small wins all the time. I don't think they really know what I'm talking about. It's not like it's some complex. It's nothing that's complex, but the idea is, well, from what I've seen from artists especially, is a lot of time when they get a win, they relax and they think that, okay, I got this win, so things are going to just kind of take off on their own, as opposed to, all right, I got this win. How can I showcase this win? How can I build on this win in order to get to the next one? People know I've been talking about Big Job because we signed our deal with Tubi. Actually, Ryan helped us do that. He looked at the contract and make sure we weren't signing anything super shady. So shout out Ryan once again. But Tubi made the announcement last week. It's some press, and Josh really never done press. We don't have a publicist. Everything that we've done is just kind of built from the ground up, and we just never felt like investing in a publicist made sense for us at the time. However, with Tubi making this announcement, it went to a lot of bigger platforms. So I knew that it would be a moment for us to use that to connect with other people, right? The industry is paying attention now because Tubi said it, and it went on Variety and Rolling Out and all these other blogs. So we have a lot of people reaching out to us now, and it's given me the opportunity to use that to reach out to other people. So that's what I mean by build on small wins. And I don't like everything is everything is a small win in hindsight. Like once you advance 2 or 3 years down the road, what seemed like a big win was really just a small win in your progression. So I don't mean to put down any win, but that's just kind of how I look at it. Don't get too high, don't get too low. Just continue to try to build on whatever it is you're doing and get to that next one. So I'm trying to use this moment to figure out how can we connect with a bigger agent, other platforms. Because with the press, like we know what we're doing, and I feel like we do a good job of staying grounded. And I feel like we never get ahead of ourselves or think something's bigger than it is. But some people see the press and think it's like bigger than it is. So sometimes you want to take advantage of that too in order to try to connect and build with people. I don't know if you guys have an example from your own situations on how you've taken a win and maybe showcased it, built on it in order to get to another win. But do you guys have any examples of that? So people are like, okay, how can I do that in my life? And it could be something super small, and how it eventually leads to something bigger.
Yeah, for me, I've kind of built the modern law practice on just giving educational advice on Instagram mostly, and the idea is that I give enough of this information that it builds trust, and people are like, I like Ryan, and if they ever need anything, they reach out to me. And a lot of lawyers are afraid to do that because of, risk and liability, and they want to be really buttoned up. And there's so few people. Shout out to Top Music Attorney, one of the only other people that I think online is really giving information to artists, and it's people that are our age that just want to educate. But I think one of the first podcasts that reached out to me for an opportunity was No Labels Necessary. And they said, I want to talk to you. And at that point, I had 1,500 followers or something like that. But they just resonated with what I was talking about. And I talked to them about all the stuff. And then Ray Daniels saw something that he didn't like that I said, and he invited me on his show. And I said, yes, let's do it. And it went on that, and spoke with you guys in Music Entrepreneur Club. And one opportunity can lead to another one if you are just open and you say yes. I think people are like afraid of, like, I don't know, looking stupid or clicking the post button. But if you don't share your thoughts, then nobody's going to know what you're about.
Yeah, because there is a lot of interconnectivity amongst like potential opportunities, right? Like, when I see somebody doing something dope, I'm not looking at like necessarily how we potentially can work together, but I'm also looking like, who can I plug this person with to advance what they're doing? So whether that's inviting them on here or plugging them with Nyla or No Labels Necessary. Like a lot of us with platforms know each other. Mm-hmm. So when you get featured on something, even if it's a small, I say this a million times, like it may not be how many people see you, it might be who sees you. because a person with 10 followers can have a good amount of influence or a lot of pull or a lot of relationships in this industry. So yeah, I think things can happen fairly fast. Payne, you have an example?
Yeah, I mean, I think my entire career has just been a series of small wins, because you get the snowball effect eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, so an example would be, um, I don't even know. I knew a manager for a while who knew a singer. That singer turned out to be Imani, from the Joe Budden podcast, but this was way before that podcast existed. And I was sending him tracks to demo. And then I think he sent a track to Joe Budden, and then that became a song. So I kept sending more. And then he brought a song to Slaughterhouse when Slaughterhouse existed. And then I went to a Royce the 5'9" and DJ Premier event. And as I was walking out the bathroom, I ran into Royce, let him know that I was the one that produced that track Offshore. So then we exchanged info. So then I started producing for him. And then, like, prior to that, I had been on tour and I was just kind of impromptu DJing for Crooked Eye when he was calling himself Crooked Eye. And then all that just kind of converged back into me working with, that entire team who, to me, like, I know things got less than perfect with the dynamic, but they've always been the best rappers to me. So, that's just one example, but that kind of thing happens all the time in the music business. You always hear, especially with producers, you always hear how they are working with someone who, like and I can't tell his story for him, but I think, wasn't it S1 who was working with Rhymefest kind of on an underground level, and then after a long time working with him, he was obviously writing for Kanye, and he brought him into the Kanye sessions, and then he ended up going to the Beyonce sessions from there. And yeah, so it was just, you're just building and building and building.
So cool. I know we want to get into the Suno stuff, and I know Suno just raised a shitload of money too. I think they raised like 250 million at a valuation of like 2.5 billion. I think they now have 100 million users. And I think, if I remember correctly, it also said that they bring in 200 million a year already at this point.
Wow.
So yeah, I think I even underestimated like how quickly, and I was actually surprised by some of these numbers too. I was like, damn, 100 million users already at 200 million in revenue. That's pretty crazy. But I know we want to jump into some stuff. Payne, I'll let you cue this topic up.
Well, that makes sense that they all of a sudden have more money, because everything on social media is now a Suno ad. Mm-hmm. Everything. So they have a crazy marketing budget, which kind of leads into this first topic. It's related to Suno, but it's this clip that Ryan shared, actually. That was the main reason I wanted him on, just to talk about this Xania Monet clip. Xania Monet is the singer who I think probably has had the most success off of 100% AI generated music. And this is her on the Tamron Hall show.
The music, I thought she said that she writes the lyrics, right? Though, right?
Yeah, she writes the lyrics, and Suno generates the sound.
100% of the song.
Got you. Okay.
It was reached out. I chose where I felt like home was, and also where I can remain independent and still keep 100% of my masters.
This AI music creator seems very confident that she owns her own masters, but as a music lawyer, I'm just not so sure.
So you actually ended up getting into I didn't know about this. You got into an argument with the manager about this. So they are doubling down on this idea that they own their masters. Why are you skeptical? Why are the rest of us skeptical?
Well, first, I think it's really interesting that this team seems to think just because it is successful on the algorithm and Spotify on the charts, that the music industry owes them a certain amount of respect. And it seems like that makes them very uncomfortable, that there's a lot of people in the business that don't love the situation. But, you know, the fight that I got into with a bunch of different Suno users, and then the manager jumped in. I saw that he followed me like a week and a half before, and then I saw that clip. I was like, oh, he's not going to like this. But it's really the confidence in which this AI music creator says, I own these masters, because the law is really tricky and really complicated. And there was another clip. It was a longer clip, and I just made it shorter because the nature of social media. But there was a longer clip where Tamron Hall was confirming how she makes this music. She's like, so you write all your own lyrics, but then you don't play any instruments. No, you don't sing. No, you just put it into Suno, and Suno outputs it. She's like, yep, that's how I do it. And so based on her own representations, if it was 100% generated by Suno, yeah, you might own the lyrics. You might own that composition, that piece. But the master sound recording is still 100% created by Suno, and you don't own that piece. So to say, I signed this record deal, I chose them because I get to own my masters, really, I think it's an overstatement of what the law is currently. So that's where I was coming from.
Because I know with the BBL Drizzy situation, when that track was sampled for the Sexy Red and Drake record, You My Everything, they only could clear, I believe, the underlying composition with, is his name King Wallonius?
Mm-hmm.
And he's the one who wrote the lyrics. He didn't write the music. He just input it into, and I believe that was Udio, not Suno.
Correct.
And Udio is now gone. So there really wasn't any sort of copyright enforcement. What I understand with regards to copyright and AI, it's a mess, but you can't self-report or self-verify. What is the term?
What's the term? Yeah, I mean, it's my problem with it is that it's this honor system, and that you've got to basically, as long as you say, yes, I own a piece of this, you know, nobody's making you show what percentage was used by Suno, what percentage was human input. And unless somebody challenges that in court, that's kind of the best that we have.
But we know when we listen to it, we know, we can break it down. We know. And I broke down the stems. It's one of those things where, you know, and I don't want to make it about Talisha, the woman behind Xania Monet. I just want to make it about Suno. You know, Talisha, go ahead and get your money. I think with regard to the Xania Monet project, it is some of the most straightforward and basic Suno output I've ever heard. It doesn't even sound like 4.5, and they're on version 5 right now, I believe. So it is most certainly just a matter of inputting lyrics and pushing a button. I know there were rumors floating around saying there are live elements and blah, 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 sufficient human input. No, I would die on that hill. There wasn't.
But even if there was human input, I think that, you know, that conversation I had with the manager, where he was basically saying, you know, myself and my lawyer are very educated on the music industry. Thanks for your opinion. That I think there's still some misunderstanding of what a work, even if there was substantial human input, what that really means. It's no different than using a sample that's in the public domain or using a splice sample or something like that. Like, think about the Sabrina Carpenter song Espresso that used the splice sample, the guitar. Her including that into Espresso didn't mean that she owned that splice sample. She owned the completed work that incorporated that splice sample. But if you pull that splice sample back out just in isolation, that's not hers magically because she made this new master recording. And the same is true with any of these Suno elements. So if you can pull out the 100% vocal Suno stem, that isn't magically copyrighted because she might have added live guitars or something like that.
So I guess, like, why does this, like, how, in terms of how this plays out and where money gets collected, I mean, she's still going to collect all her money from her distributor. There might be an issue, like if there's some kind of sync placement, right? With like say if a movie wanted to come in and sync the song, would she just receive compensation for the composition side? Like they probably would just take her word for it anyway. They probably,
I
she's saying she owns the masters, like they probably clear both sides with her.
I think they would take her word for it, and that's kind of more or less what Hollywood Media did when they signed her. I think her biggest nightmare would be if somebody stemmed out the vocal, which is, I think, undeniably 100% AI. And they didn't make any derivative work. They didn't remix it. They didn't do anything else that could run into copyright issues. And they just uploaded that to Spotify. They're not making any claims to the composition. She would still get paid through PROs and the MLC and that kind of stuff. But they just did that. And she tried to do a DMCA takedown on that Suno vocal stem, saying that she owns it. And they challenged that in court. Man, I would love to see that case. And I think that she would lose that 9 times out of 10.
But I mean, I don't know. But even that, it's like, I mean, maybe that new song gets some traction, but now that there's so much traction on these songs, I don't know how Spotify's algorithm, like, I just don't think, to me, it doesn't sound like it matters, like in terms of the money that she's going to be collecting.
No, it doesn't. We're in this new age where the music industry was all about actual legal rights, and you monetize because of legal rights. And now you monetize, even if those legal rights are sketchy, you monetize because of access and ownership of the distro account and you making these registrations.
Yeah. I hope, I mean, and Two Lost doesn't have, I don't think any distributor has this yet. Like, I hope that, you know, it seems like Suno's here to stay. I feel like there should be some kind of like link between like databases where, you know, as soon as you upload a song, you know, it gets identified as AI, and hopefully there's a connection. That I have no idea if that would ever happen. But I actually had another question, Ron. I'm just curious, like, that $3 million figure that was floated when she announced her deal, are you skeptical of that number? Do you think that number's real? Like, how do you feel about that number?
Yeah, I think you got to put a big asterisk next to that number. I don't doubt that wasn't a $3 million total value deal, but was that a deal where she signed it and she got $3 million cash in hand advance upon signing? I would highly doubt it. I think that there was some cash advance, but I think there was also a marketing budget, a music fund, you know, and some other kind of contingent things that the label was responsible for. And maybe they were discretionary. Maybe there were certain success marks that had to be hit for them to activate. So I think that number is very helpful in getting the headlines. And certainly I think all of the success only drives more users to Suno, because they're like, hey, if she can do it, maybe I can do it too. But I am skeptical that she got a $3 million check.
Well, so I want to ask both of you this question then. Ryan, you've negotiated a lot of label agreements. Dame, you ran a label. If they were, you know, because most label deals, when someone announces they signed a $3 million, $4 or $5 million label deal, it's the same situation. They're not leaving with, you know, $3 million in a suitcase. For $3 million, doesn't the label want something in return? So why would they give her all that money and allow her to retain master ownership, underlying composition ownership? And she said 100% in the interview. That's the part that made me skeptical beyond anything else. I know that the laws with AI and copyright are a mess, and I think in practice it won't matter unless something crazy happens and there's a precedent, and there very well could be. You know, this is anyone's bet. What could happen? We're going to talk about something crazy that happened next that could probably happen to Xania Monet and the team. But why would Hollywood Media allow an artist to retain 100% of everything and then drop millions of dollars on the deal? What do they get?
Yeah, I think it's a misunderstanding of what ownership on paper means and what the actual rights are. Like, yeah, sure, there wasn't two different ways you can handle a record deal, as you both know. An artist can either sign away all the masters as a work for hire to the label, which means that from the beginning of time, from when that work was created, the label owns the copyrights and you'll never, ever get those back. Or you can do an exclusive license to the label. Nobody else can use that for that license term. You still technically own your copyright and your master, subject to them being the only person that can do anything with it. The only person that can license it, only person that can distribute it, sell it, etc. So I think it's an exclusive license, and some of these exclusive license deals, especially with these kind of viral acts, can be for the life of the copyright. So yeah, it could be technically that she is the author and owner of the master. She hasn't given up the ownership, but it's subject to a very long or maybe indefinite exclusive license to Hollywood.
Ryan, in your opinion, like, how much should independent artists be paying attention to this?
I think they need to know what's going on. I don't think they need to get too discouraged about these deals, because I kind of feel like a few of these deals, and they've been the same label. The first producer that signed a big deal was to Hollywood Media, and then Xania Monet was Hollywood Media. And we're going to see a few more of these big deals come through. There was a $50 million deal that Higgsfield said that they did, but that was really an investment in their AI tech. I think we're going to see that bubble burst a little bit. It's going to be like NFTs, where an NFT sold for $4 million and now you can't give that thing away. But I think we're going to see a lot more situations where legitimate artists, producers, songwriters, people that made music before AI was a thing, are incorporating it into their production. And that's kind of probably where this is all heading. That's why Suno is advertising a whole lot. And I unfortunately take some credit for the push that they have to human authors, because after that whole K-Fresh Timbaland thing happened, I spoke to many people at Suno about their biggest issue was that they are a tool that is marketing to non-music creators who have a lot of disdain and hate for live music creators. And I said, if you ever want to gain the respect of the music community, you have to use it as a tool and actually incorporate real human artists. And I think to their credit, they took that, but I didn't expect them to hammer down that as much as they have.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it is, yeah, I think I'm waiting for an artist to use it in a very creative way. Like, I can see an artist, a rapper, or maybe even another genre, like, creates like an arch nemesis where you go back and forth with. Like, obviously you're still making your music, but you're maybe AI generating the arch nemesis, and there's some, creative back and forth. But I really think that even though these AI artists are generating, or some of them are generating a decent amount of streams, like, these are streams from the people that typically have been very difficult from independent artists to reach anyway. It's those passive listeners. Like, it's the listeners that got reached by radio, used to get reached by radio. The people that, and this is just my opinion, I have no data to support this, but the people that really love music, that really want to support independent artists, I'd find it hard to believe that many of the streams are coming from that crowd anyway. And it's always been hard for independent artists to reach the more passive listeners. Every independent artist typically reaches kind of like a ceiling, and then there's like attempts to get the more passive. Maybe they save up enough money to take a shot at radio, or they're trying to do bigger things. They're trying to break down that door. So if it was me, I would definitely be looking at it like, how can I get more creative in telling my story? How can I still, be super authentic with my fans? But I want to use it to be more efficient and be more creative, for sure.
Maybe this is a good time to transition into the next story because this has to do with Spotify. To me, this is maybe not the craziest story. This is one of the craziest AI stories. And it has to do with a producer. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? So there's a producer who composed a whole track, and then they sang a demo, and they probably couldn't sing very well, or they didn't like their voice. They took that vocal track that they recorded, I think, on a phone into Suno, replaced it with a female voice because they're a male. Mm-hmm. Then they extracted that, put it back in their DAW, mixed it, had a real engineer mix it. A lot of human input because I don't believe the beat was made in Suno. Correct. But a lot of producers use Suno this way. And he got in a lot of trouble for using Suno this way. Released the track, it gets millions and millions of plays on Spotify. And it's a good track. I like it. I listened to it. And now it's gone and it's been taken down. And it's funny because we just talked about Xania Monet, who uses Suno exclusively. And this artist is just using a little bit of Suno. And now, I don't know if his entire account's taken down, but I know that track has been deleted from the platform. You have more insight into this, Ryan.
Yeah, this is a really interesting, crazy story. This producer is a producer out of the UK who I'm blanking on his name, but he actually had some other credits for the last couple of years with some bigger artists in the UK. Creates this new producer project called Haven. And he releases this song called I Run. And you're absolutely right. He sings a demo on his iPhone, throws it into Suno, changes the voice, cuts it up. He produces it. He has a mixing mastering engineer. He even has a co-producer. Throws it on the DSPs. It goes crazy viral on the TikTok global viral charts. It's being used in a ton of UGC. And these labels, as they do these days, swarm to sign it and throw some more marketing money on it to make it go completely through the roof. So it was already a big popular song. But then the success is getting people kind of skeptical. Who is this artist, DJ, producer who came out of obscurity and now has the biggest song on TikTok? And there was 0 credits like on the Spotify. There was no listed vocalist. There was no other collaborators listed, which is also a good reminder. I know you won't disagree with me, Payne. Like, tag your collaborators, like make sure you give them credit. But when there was no vocalist tagged, people were like, is this an AI vocal? What's going on? And there was some controversy there after the song had already been signed to a label and re-uploaded, because that's what they do. And it gets taken down first not because it's AI generated, but because a lot of people thought it was this artist, Georgia Smith, the singer in the UK.
Who was amazing. Yeah, she's dope.
Incredible. And it's, of course, like, we know that all these Suno voices are trained and fitted in a certain way to sound like very popular artists. And so if people were confused that was her, very likely that it was actually trying to simulate and emulate her. So it gets, I think her team issues a takedown on impersonation grounds to Spotify, because it's against their policies if you're trying to impersonate somebody else. And it gets taken down. In the meantime, I don't know if this was after that first takedown, because it went down and came back up, and it went back down, and it's gone down a few times. But in the meantime, there's the original artwork is this orange artwork, just as, orange, and this is I Run Haven. There's this new version of it that's still live on YouTube, and it was the final version that was still taken down, and it's a blue version, and it says featuring Caitlin Aragon. And I listened to it last night in my headphones on, and it is a re-record. It's a human singer, because you can even hear, like, the first version has like these weird kind of phasing and kind of weird echoes when every time the vocal comes in, and this is super crisp, and it's very much like a different performance, but the tone and the delivery are almost identical. That most people, 99% of people that listened wouldn't think it was a different thing. So I think they were trying to get ahead of it. But unfortunately, for them, Spotify said it violates the impersonation rules. They invalidated all 13 million of the streams and said, we are not going to be releasing any royalties on those streams that have come through. And it's still down as we speak.
So you may not know the answer to this, Ryan, but like something like that happened. So Spotify had yet to pay out any royalties on the song. So there was 13 million streams. They didn't pay out any royalties. Now, would they keep the royalties that would have been paid out in the pool that gets paid out, or do they take those out of the pool and pay out the rest of what needed to get paid out that month?
I don't know the answer to that. I would think that they would just invalidate it and throw it back into the pool. But in a case where there's a dispute, like say it was somebody else's song and it was actually a copyright issue, they would probably, I'm sure they would hold that portion just like they would on the pub side. They would hold that portion and then divert it to the right party. But here, there isn't really anybody else to pay this to. It was just a straight impersonation. It was like that song 2 years ago, the Drake "Heart on My Sleeve."
I was going to bring that up, yeah, because they took that down immediately. But that was blatant impersonation. They even listed Drake, and they even had the Metro Boomin tag, and I think they listed The Weeknd too as featured artist on that track.
I mean, I'm guessing that they put the money aside and just keep it, earn interest on it. But then, like you said, I don't feel like it'd ever be resolved. Like that would just be, they probably have an account with just a pot of money that just grows and grows and grows.
I would think they have to have a trust account that just sits in there because there's a lot of liability if you pay it to somebody. Because the last thing they want, I mean, this, like Payne said, this is a seemingly less offensive use of AI than what Xania Monet is doing. And here, there wasn't any type of claim. Like, it's not like the producer tagged Georgia and said, this is her singing. It was really just that people believed that the Suno output was too similar. So I don't think there was necessarily an active intention from the producer to impersonate the singer unless there was some other tool, and he actually did do that. I'm just not sure.
Well, aren't they making the same? Aren't there a couple of artists that are making the same claim with Xania Monet? It's like it's two different artists. It's what is her name?
You talking about Fantasia?
No, it's not Fantasia. Who's the short thick chick that was on the I don't know how I'm blanking on her name. She's been around for a long time.
Name some songs.
Damn it. But I thought it's two particular, they think it's a blend of two separate artists. I want to say Victoria Monet is one of them.
And she definitely has been vocal about how she feels like the name of the character itself was very intentional to kind of trade off of her own brand and goodwill. It's similar for sure.
I'm trying to find the other person. She's in a lot of reality shows.
Because I've definitely seen people make the comparison that Xania Monet is Beyonce meets Fantasia, which certainly is a possibility because Suno has admitted to taking music from the open internet and training, which would mean, Beyonce and Fantasia are not exempt. Are they both UMG artists? Because the labels are suing them for that reason.
Okay, my bad. K Michelle, that's what it was.
Oh, okay, Michelle. Yeah. So here's my question.
Which is also the same, also managed by Xania Monet's manager.
K Michelle is?
Wow. I thought I saw that. I could be 100% wrong. Let me look that up.
That's okay. Out of pocket if it is.
For real. No, if we can verify that changes things. But it begs the question as to why Xania Monet is being celebrated and promoted, while Haven is being punished and removed. When Haven, again, I think, like I'm defending the AI user here. I don't think what Haven did. Spotify bans everybody, and they don't care. When you get banned from Spotify, there's really no chance that you getting your accounts back, and that's a damn shame, because he generated likely upwards of $52,000 off of those 13 million streams, and Spotify's like, no, that's our money now.
It's in his credits, but he's not listed as her active manager. That he's worked with K Michelle.
Yeah, that yeah.
It just makes me think Erinn's conspiracy theory is true, where she thinks Xania Monet is getting an infusion of money from, and she might not even realize it, from AI companies to promote her, to make it seem like this organic success story via Suno. And as we talked at the beginning, they have a lot of money. They have tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars. What am I talking about? And their valuation is in the billions. So yeah, you have a company like that behind you, they can make things appear one way when they're not that way, and they can insulate you from backlash. Haven didn't have that, so he's gone. And by the way, his real name is Harrison Walker. Harrison Walker.
But most of these bigger platforms. What was the name of the talk show that you played the clip from? What's her name?
Tamron Hall.
Yeah, like those kind of they're just looking for interesting stories. They don't give a shit about the business of music or whether or not what she's doing is right or wrong. Like, they're just looking for an interesting story. So I don't even know if like their intention is to celebrate her. Their intention is to get attention, right? So,
but you have to look at a little bit of like the tone of these interviews, because Gayle King interviewed Talisa Jones and was very, I don't want to say critical, but was very much like, but you don't sing. You're saying this is your music, but yeah, you don't have this talent. And she's like, well, it might as well be me, because like I feel like she's me because I work on it really hard, whatever. And Gayle King kind of like put her in her place. This Tamron Hall show is the first time where I've seen like this AI artist thing be very much celebrated. And I don't know if it was just like the producers with the clap now cards or what, but in the circles that we are in, on the online echo chamber that is music business, everybody more or less seems like pretty horrified, except for a few people that are like, this is the future, embrace it, or the AI artists that want to be successful. But this is the first interview that I saw where it was like, good for you, you go get that money, and the whole audience was like, yeah, you just got a $3 million deal. And it was weird.
But
no, that's what I mean. She's like a hero figure to a lot of people, and I understand it. And shout out to her for actually putting herself on these platforms, because that must be terrifying. I think the celebration is coming from the music business, whereas Haven's getting William, what I say his name was, Harrison Walker is, why do I keep saying William? Harrison Walker's getting his entire catalog, or his hit song removed, his potentially viral song removed, losing tens of thousands of dollars. His label's getting screwed, whereas Xania Monet is getting celebrated via this $3 million deal, via the potential publishing deal. I don't know if you heard about that, Ryan, with APG, via the and that was for an undisclosed amount, but that's a huge deal, via her entry into a Billboard chart, via the media attention that comes with that. I think the music business is being incredibly kind to her, and that makes me think Suno money has something to do with it, maybe.
I think she's just, because of these platforms, again, these people in the audience don't know shit about the music industry, right? All they hear is you should own your master. They don't even know what masters are, right? So I think it's a combination of, yes, there was a clap card, but two, it just sounds good. This sounds like a feel-good story, and especially with the question that she was asked as opposed to what Gayle King asked. So I don't even see it, like, I mean, unless my head's in the sand, like, I don't see it being celebrated by the music industry. I mean, of course, you'll find a few people here and there that'll be like, "Hey, go get to the money, whatever." But I really see it being celebrated by people that don't know shit about the music industry, that just hear, it's a beautiful girl. She's telling her story. She's making money. She's making a living. Boom, it's a positive story. They don't know how that could potentially impact like real creators. That's not the conversation that they're having on these platforms. So I don't know. You guys see it being celebrated by the music industry? Like,
No, definitely not.
I think anyone that is getting this amount of, because again, why aren't you celebrating Haven? He's doing the same thing.
I think the difference with Haven is, whether or not we all agree that there was transparency, there was an attempt at transparency with Xania Monet. She said, I wrote the lyrics. The music is Suno with maybe some human elements. But yes, it is AI music. Haven puts this track up. He doesn't even list any of his collaborators, doesn't list vocalists, doesn't list anything. If he came out and said, I sang this vocal and I used Suno to change the voice, and didn't make this kind of mystery that the internet needed to solve, I think we would have a different outcome here.
Yeah. And it seems like Xania has a publicist with a strategy that they're employing, like how, where to sit her, what's the story going to be with this. And I apologize because I don't even know who Haven is. I'm not familiar even with the song, but it sounds like Ryan said, he just put the song out. Not even really thinking about the AI potential controversy. Like, it was just like, I like this song. This was a song I made. That's what I'm putting out.
Well, what about the Rusty Nail guy or whatever his name is? The
Broken Rust.
Broken. What a weird name. Broken. Yeah, the walk my walk. That bullshit. That is.
What's his name?
Broken Rust.
Broken Rust. The guy. So that's the one that's on the top of like some country chart.
Yeah, he's on the country digital sales charts, which is a little bit of a. It's a little bit of a joke because he only needed 3,000 downloads to make it on the top of the charts, and you could easily find 3,000 people to buy some downloads. Like, you could pay for that.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to know like how these songs started getting traction for these particular instances. Like, did it just get favored by the algorithm? Did Spotify support it in some kind of way? Is it bots initially? Like, I have no idea what the true story are behind, because I think that particular AI artist has a few million monthly listeners now too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's 100% AI generated. 100%.
It's hard to get. I mean, for a real artist, it's hard to get to that number.
Because they're being celebrated by the media. I'm telling you, man, there were so many articles. People Magazine. Why would People Magazine write an article about someone who went viral on the most antiquated chart possible that Billboard is probably going to phase out in the next few years?
But I mean, there's a press strategy for sure. But even I went to when I was curious and I want to see like how it sounds, right? So the press is going to pick this up, one, because they're paying the publicists to make this stuff happen, but two, it is, at least now, an interesting story. Like, next year, this isn't going to be interesting because there's going to be hell of them.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. If I release a country song and I pay to chart on the top of the country charts, that isn't going to make headlines because that's just what people are doing. But if it's in a fully AI artist, that's interesting.
Yeah. So again, I think, and maybe I'm just receiving the words wrong, but I just don't see it being celebrated. I see it being blasted out there, so everybody, like, the press is there, but I'm not like super excited, like, man, this is gonna be dope. I'm like, no, let me check. I want to hear what this sounds like. Can I tell the difference? And to be honest, I mean, I'm not a country fan, but I mean, even with the Xania Monet, like, I see how again, passive listeners can be like, "Oh, this song is amazing."
Payne, I
I
want to
can
ask
see
you.
that with Xania Monet. I can't see it with Rusty Dick. That song was horrible.
Payne, I want to ask you a question because I know that you get a lot of similar comments like I do. And anytime we talk about how there needs to be some respect for copyright, a bunch of AI music creator trolls come out and tell us like we're antiquated and we don't know shit. What's your sense on kind of the spectrum of the AI debate? You know, there's certainly the AI music creators who aren't from music, and then there are some of these other people who are in music who are very pro AI that are just like, hey, this is the future, jump on the train. Where do you see a lot of these kind of supporters kind of falling in that spectrum?
I really think it's just two extreme sides. Either you're not at all an artist who relies on art for a living, or you're an artist who's already made a killing and you never have to work again. I think the people in the middle are the ones who are looking at the implications of copyright law changing, of these AI platforms, and then the tech bros taking over music. I don't think any of us envisioned a future in which the creative pursuits in life were automated by technology. That was always supposed to be the fun part of life. Like the drudgery is what's supposed to be, Jetsons, a robot house cleaner, right? No one wants to clean their house because why would you want to clean your house when you could be somewhere making a beat or somewhere playing piano or somewhere singing in your band? We're actually getting the opposite. You still gotta clean your house, but now all the music is being generated by a click of the button. That's kind of the future that is being shaped by AI. But yeah, I think the people that are super pro AI, again, you're either like a Timberland who's seeing the writing on the wall. I think Timberland had a lot of insight into where the industry was going. And I think he's absolutely vindicated because you're seeing so much investment going into AI. I never disagreed with that part.
Sure.
But then on the other hand, you have a lot of, as you said, a lot of artists who are resentful of people who can produce really well or sing really well or play instruments really well. And now they're like, they call it democratizing music, because now they can push a button and they create something that they believe sounds as good as a Massive Attack song or a Coldplay song or a Kalani song, whatever. And they feel like, wow, now I have all the power that these people had. I'm just as good as them. They're no longer better than me. So it's this really odd dynamic that we're seeing. But those of us who are in the middle, who are paying attention to both sides, or it's like it's funny because I get criticized when I talk about AI that I use that I feel is ethical, and they're like, "Oh, you're a fucking hypocrite." And then on the other hand, when I'm like, "Hey, maybe we shouldn't be allowing one artist to get away with violating the Elvis Presley Act and promoting another one who may very well be doing the same." And then people are like, "Fuck you, you old ass motherfucker! You're just mad that our music sounds way better than." And it's like, it doesn't. I've honestly, Haven. I thought that song sounded good. I thought Timbaland's Tata song, the only one that they put out, I thought that sounded good. I think that sounds infinitely better than this weird country song. And the songs that I think are decent, and maybe this goes back to what Dame is saying, they're the ones that are either doing well like Haven and then the powers that be strike them down, or they sound terrible like Rusty Spoon, and they're getting promoted and they're getting a ton of press. And yeah, like Dame said, people don't know what the fuck is going on. Unfortunately, a lot. And I've always defended listeners. People like what they like. And a lot of people have bad taste.
I don't know. I mean, all this stuff is super wild. I feel like even though people said it was coming, it came a lot faster than I think most people anticipated in terms of like how just the quality of it.
And weirder.
Yeah. Because like the beats that were being made, I would say like a year and a half ago, like they wouldn't chart anywhere. Like it was terrible. So again, I just encourage every artist to, if you decide to use these things, to figure out how it fits into, your creative process and how you want to tell your story. Because I'd be trying to, if I was an artist, I'd be trying to figure out what makes the most sense. I'd also be looking at these, for the AI video platform. That's what artists really should be taking advantage of. The Higgs field, all those other platforms to just create better visuals, more compelling visuals, because you can do some really cool stuff with those video platforms. So
Yeah, and I know a lot of videographers that are incorporating AI into videos just for CGI effect. Again, that's more assistive, and that was kind of the future that we wanted. Like as an artist, I want my AI to be able to handle my scheduling and do all these things that keep me away from the creative process. And what I end up getting are these creative tools that replace my creative process, and these assistive tools that kind of don't do anything to help me make my life easier. So I'm like, this is where we're at in 2020. I don't know. Are there AI tools? Let's end on a positive note. Are there AI tools that make your lives easier as far as organization, as far as logistics?
I mean, Chat GPT all the time. I'm learning some of the video stuff just so I can see, because when Jai is writing, you like our creativity is limited even in the writing process, because we're like, okay, we can't write that into the story because that's too expensive to shoot. Like we can't blow shit up at this point. Like that's a lot of money, but maybe we can now. So maybe it does unlock like a different level of creativity and, just kind of remove some of the boundaries. So I've been looking at Higgs field. There's a lot of AI stuff just kind of baked into some of the stuff that we're using. I mean, it's in Riverside. I've been playing around with some of the Riverside tools that's baked in Canva and Canva as well. So yeah, I probably need to get familiar with a lot more platforms, because I'm sure, there's a lot of other things that I could be using that could help out a lot.
I couldn't live without Read AI, and there's a lot of different AI note takers. But when I meet with clients and you have a full summary of everything that was discussed, now I have a really clear understanding of what the project is or something like that, and I can deliver them 100% of what they asked for, versus I'm on a half-hour call and I'm writing down notes as fast as I can, and you deliver a contract and somebody says, well, man, I really wanted this part and you didn't give me that part.
Question, Ryan, could that offer legal protection of like what was said in a meeting? If there's like, one person say, I didn't say that, and yes you did, and then you go to the notes and you're like, it says it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I had a dispute with a client not too long ago, where they were like, why did you do this and why did you do that? And I didn't tell you to do that. And I was like, well, on this date we met and we had this conversation. Here's the video, here's the transcript. This is exactly what you asked me to do, and this is why I did it. So for me in my own practice, like that saved a potential legal malpractice suit, even if it was frivolous on their point, that like, no, you asked me to do this and I did exactly what you asked, because human memory is is flawed. So
We filmed it though. See, I need that for my family.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I mean, so it's, I know some people are using it as like note taking, but it's can be very protective of, what's going on in some of these meetings. People have very short memories, or they be trying to manipulate people. Like, and so now you kind of have like a recorder that's a note taker, but it's, literally just basically it's like a transcript of the whole conversation.
For sure.
So cool. I don't know if that was positive pain, but
Yeah, that was positive. I mean, yeah, note taking apps. I just think if a platform can make an entire song and generate you $3 million in an interview with Gayle King, it should be able to do other things like find ways to reduce my energy bill automatically, or I don't know. I want more time to create. I don't want to do the opposite. And it's like, oh, now that I can push a button, I have way more time to rake my leaves.
Yeah.
And
Chat, even, I mean, there might be something more specific, but I feel like if you put the right prompts in the Chat GPT, you can reduce your energy bill. You just tell it like how you're using it, what you're using in your house and time. So it'll probably give you some good suggestions on how to reduce your.
Yeah, but every time I use ChatGPT, they're using an energy bill and polluting the water, so it's kind of
Sure.
we don't even talk about the environmental impact of AI, and I think we're too far gone.
We were supposed to end positive. What happened?
I take 50% of the blame for that, Dame. 50%, but the rest is blame Dame. All right, we appreciate you tuning in. Thank you, Ryan Schmidt. How do people follow you? Because you're always posting, cutting edge breaking news when it comes to copyright, AI, and the music business in general.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. It's probably where I'm most active, at ryanschmidt.esq. My website's also ryanschmidt.esq.
Oh, wow, they have ESQ domain names now. That's dope.
Nice.
Hey, that's positive technology. Cool. We'll catch you on the next episode of the MEC podcast. Anyone that's interested in sponsoring an episode or the entire podcast, drop a comment, and we will catch you next time. Peace.